My people were biologically determined for one purpose alone, to sense the coming of damn fine podcasts. I sense it coming now.
All right. Welcome to the party, everybody.
we got Fuji's on. We're good.
right.
You will never be able to podcast as good as us. Your tongue is too human.
You're listening to a Discovery Home Companion, and we're going to talk about some companionship and discovering a little something about ourselves. I just threw up in my mouth a little bit. With me is James Nolan.
I've never danced with a man.
Oh, I have. And Hugh Crawford.
Good evening.
And my name is Wade Bowen. Sorry. Yep. And we're talking about this episode that just aired. I'd say that we're coming off a little hot, but maybe we've cooled off a little bit. What is this? Magic to make the sanest man go mad? Is that right?
That is correct. It's episode 7 of season 1. And just real quick for everybody following along at home, here is the IMDb description. As the USS Discovery crew attempts to let loose at a party, an unwelcome visitor comes aboard, bringing about a problematic and twisted sequence of events. Yeah, and that person is Harry Mudd.
Yeah.
Dwight Schrute. Dwight Mudd.
Fact. Time loops are possible.
Yeah.
What'd y'all think about this episode? You loved it as much as you liked all those other episodes of Star Trek Discovery, right?
I think maybe it's easier. Like, I don't think this is a low point for the series.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Well, I think that this episode is a mixed bag with its tone.
Yeah.
And I think mostly that's in the third act. Well, actually, there's some tone stuff that I have a problem with at the beginning too. I think there's some tone stuff that I don't like, but I do like the standalone format. I do like how it moves along some of the overall storylines. We've had some important storylines just dropped. We don't even get a line about Cornwell or where she's at.
Right.
That's just she's just in the wind.
Oh.
We don't know if anybody's trying to look for her. We don't know anything about that. In fact, we really, other than the Discovery is apparently back on missions, we don't know much about the war.
That's the most infuriating thing.
Yeah, like they dropped her off, right? Like they said, hey, we're dropping you off at the meeting, and then she gets still. I guess they left before the conference was over. I don't know. That kind of gets into my feeling. This is a different kind of episode than we've had so far, to me, in Star Trek Discovery. Like you're saying, you liked it. It's more like a standalone. And my whole thing was like, yeah, doesn't feel like a serialized show to me. Like there's plots that are serialized, but the buzzword that like Akiva Goldsman has been using over and over again, and they keep saying about this is the most serialized Trek. And we said before, like last week, I feel like that it doesn't really feel as serialized as they're saying. And this episode in particular did not, because it wasn't a rescue mission, so it's got that going for it.
There is absolutely nothing of consequences coming before or since. We think, that Ash is Vox, so that the idea that a laborious amount of this episode was spent building a romance between Ash and Burnham, that itself is continuing a serialized story. But basically, this episode is kind of a big what the fuck is going on because it's building up all of the stuff before that was just kind of paused.
Right.
I think that we're coming to this is not a true serialized show in the way that Game of Thrones or Expanse or even something like, I think Battlestar Galactica was more serialized than this, right?
Oh, very. Yeah. Well, the first 2 seasons before. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, sometimes one moment would end at the end, and then the next moment would pick up at the beginning of the next episode.
Yeah. Here's what I'm starting to realize. Like, it's a too many cooks situation, perhaps.
Oh, I think that's absolutely.
Yes.
If we go back and we look, I'm going to take a breath and go back to look at the series opening, the 2-episode pilot. That felt like it was starting off a serialized arc, like of this thing that happens. The next episode, she's on a transport, like the Michael Burnham story felt very serialized then because, the captain dies and now she's on a new ship and then it's following her story. And then somewhere along the way, well, they fired Brian Fuller, and so now they're kind of in the wind. They brought Akiva Goldsman on, who wasn't part of the original crew, though Alex Kurtzman was, and I've said my piece about those two. And it's starting to feel like maybe like Les Moonves and everybody's like, wait a minute. No, this is Star Trek. We want it to be like Star Trek. And it hasn't been, and that's been a huge gripe that some of us have had about the podcast. And then this episode feels like, hey, no, okay, we've had this shakeup and we're going to kind of try to change direction, and we're going to try to get closer to being more like Star Trek. I mean, I'd argue mixed results, but some things, it doesn't start with a cold open, but it does start with a personal log, which is classic Trek.
Yeah. And it's something that I've missed.
Yeah.
And that's a thing. I would even say that the personal log, it's become rote that we say that this show is about a war. Mm-hmm. And it's not. It's not at all. There's a war going on, but it's not about a war.
Right.
When you say that the show's about a war, you would think like the last 10 episodes of Deep Space Nine or any number of other shows. There is no what you would do if there's a war is that you would talk about stuff. You would talk about positions and lines and bases. There would be conference room scenes. There would be like missions,
supply lines that need to be protected, and
there would be like missions and stuff like that. There's none of that,
right.
And a personal log would be really helpful on that.
Yeah.
Well, there is one. We do get a little. We get the little montage. We're saying that we're the best. We're the best in this war. Basically, it's like there's a war. We're still the best. Yeah. Moving on. Yeah.
We're not going to talk about like the decisive battles or how the progression of the war. So it doesn't feel like a serialized show about the war. It feels like an ensemble episodic show about life on this ship that happens to have a war in the backdrop.
Yes.
Because it's about Michael Burnham, I guess. But and this one's all about her feelings, I guess. Yeah.
Also, because she doesn't have a job.
She's a science specialist.
I guess she's got a job now. But because she doesn't have like I don't know.
She doesn't have a rank.
There's a part about there's a lot of weird things in this show that I'm trying to put I'm trying to get like sort of broad perspective about it. And one thing that I noticed that I don't like about the show, and then one of it is tied into that frat scene where Vok gets up and delivers out of the blue, hey, stop the Wyclef Jean, folks. I'm going to give a speech about the troops.
Yeah.
That fucking party.
I mentioned earlier, I think that's the most Klingon thing that a dude can do is to stop a party and talk about honorable fighting men and women.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
They go in, they're playing fucking Wyclef Jean. I was like, man, why can't we just go back to the Kelvin universe where they're playing Beastie Boys all the time? That's the music that survives to this day and age is, the grand humanitarian Wyclef Jean that saved Haiti. That's a joke because, he didn't do that.
I know.
If you don't know what a piece of shit Wyclef Jean was.
Maybe you do a, something new, like set up your own culture. There's some world building there. We're not familiar with the,
right.
I mean,
you have the communications officer playing like a lovely harp or something.
and I know that strikes people as lame. If you go back 80 years, they were listening to jazz at parties, and that was considered hot. And then we're in a hip hop EDM phase now. Like, it doesn't have to be. I get that there was this focus on classical music and TNG because whatever,
right? Because they didn't want to pay for the rights.
But there's more fun, and there was a fun party in Deep Space Nine. Jadzia rocked it out at her bachelorette party. There's a way to do these things, and still culture build, and not just have people playing beer pong.
Right? Yeah, beer pong.
Beer pong. I'm not 20, so I don't relate to that. I think that was just to relate because the writers are our age. And when they were in college, this was the kind of shit.
Yeah. See, I took it as like, because I give these producers the benefit of the doubt. I blame them Transformer guys.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this was a hit song from the 90s, like when I was first starting out as a hack producer.
I'm sure most of these people are younger than us.
Okay, well, see, no, wait a minute. The music itself was a deliberate choice because of the Staying Alive gag.
Oh, right.
I think so, yeah.
So, I mean, let's not give it more thought than what it was. I mean, these people aren't very good on subtext. I mean, even when we had the space whale and what was alien it was still, Michael Burnham was really just talking about herself and her own problems.
All right. The space whale, it's like a space panda that can't fuck to save its own species.
Yeah, but before we get off, but I don't want to get too far because my point was bigger.
Oh, right.
But one of the things that we can say about this party is that if you wanted to keep the Bee Gees staying alive, either A, play the Bee Gees staying alive, don't play a song from 1999 that sampled it, or do something better, which is have contact some up and coming LA EDM guy to try and say if it's 200 years from now and somebody's doing a recontextualization of the Bee Gees staying alive, what would it sound like?
Right, yeah.
Well,
and then do that. But that's the thing that's the problem there. But with the speech with the troops, and I get that they might be doing something with Doc,
Yeah.
But I think that in general, this show, I think historically Star Trek, even the Next Generation, or even the original series, has a cynical view towards the military and has a cynical view towards militarization. And that they're constantly, it's not a fight first concept. They look at themselves as explorers and mediators as opposed to warriors.
Right.
And I think this show just doesn't have, I think this show has a militaristic view towards the they have a fondness for the troops.
Right. Well,
and I think that just something about that, and I don't mean that in a lefty way, that is against a tone that is against Star Trek to me.
Right. Yeah. There's always been a weird uncomfortableness with Star Trek with their kind of military organization with ranks, but they always insist they're not soldiers, they're explorers.
And we had a taste of that at the beginning with Stamets and his objections over his research being used for the war effort.
Yes.
Right.
We had a taste of that. And then that all got kind of shoved aside as Stamets himself changed, which, we're not sure where that's going or if that,
right.
But he has changed.
Yeah.
And now we're kind of along for the ride with whatever that means.
Right. Yeah. So they have this space party, beer pong, and they're partying like it's 1999 with the song from 1999.
Yeah.
And
that's true.
She's about to have her first dance or something, I don't know. And then her and Vought Ash Tyler, sorry. I got to stop calling him Vought.
Do we? He's totally Vought.
He's totally Vought there, right? right.
I mean, we can go into all of the ways that this character is a fucking ass if he's not Vought. So we can do that later.
Right. He's just boring. Yeah.
Yeah. He's the worst character in Star Trek ever if he's not Vought.
So they get called to because they found the space panda, I guess, space whale. Though we do get some great Lorca stuff where he's just like, what is this shit? And they're like, oh, well, actually, the Endangered Species Act is still a thing.
They trigger some sort of protocol where they have to handle the whale in a certain way, or else he can be court-martialed and all kinds of shit.
Right. And he's just like, I don't give a fuck. Okay, fine, just do it.
That was the best. You get to see.
Yeah, that was just fun.
Jason Isaacs, even though this was not a Lorca-centered episode, still found a way to shine throughout this episode. And everything that he did, he would do these little things that added to his character.
Where would this show be without him?
I don't know, man.
But yes, he's having a blast in this episode, and he gets to do some really fun shit.
Has a secret Andorian, but not an Andorian.
So Dwight comes out with Andorian helmet on, and he shoots everybody, and then he does some stuff, and he gives like a Austin Powers Dr. Evil monologue.
Yeah,
right. I did like how he was like, man, there's so many fucking design flaws in this thing. How do these things not blow up constantly?
Yeah,
which was like a nice joke.
And then he says, I got everything I need, and then the whole ship blows up.
Yeah.
So, which is fun. That was a fun, whoa, what's going on here?
Yeah, and I did like that they didn't show the next time loop because yes, it's Groundhog's Day, everybody.
Yeah.
they just jump to like, oh, I've been doing this 53 times. And
eventually, they start like that one. Now they do start back with the party though, don't they?
Oh yeah, but then they hit the notes quick, and then they show where it diverges.
Yeah. And they ultimately, there's all of these ones they don't show.
Right,
you assume that it took him a long time to get how to get the whale in there and how to, so like there's all of this different stuff.
Right. Yeah. He teleports out of the whale. Burnham and Tyler have ran into Stamets in the hallway, who's tripping balls and is a happy-go-lucky drug addict, or...
Oh, this is before the explosion.
Yeah. Or else he's a mirror universe version of himself. Who knows?
Right.
We don't know what
we still don't know what's going on with Stamets. Yeah. All we know is that there's been a change. His partner has expressed some concern over it and tells like the other crew members that he's not been himself, and
then he kind of
it's fine.
But from everything we can see, he's more enjoyable and still competent at his job.
Right.
Yeah, actually, he's really good at his job.
Yeah.
He's the one that's responsible for saving the day ultimately.
He's a lot more fun to watch than he was when he was just dour. Though, I don't know. I've always kind of enjoyed, even when he was a dick, I like the kind of shade that he threw a little bit. But
yeah, I think I like him now that he's squinting less. I mean, there's still some squints,
sure.
But there's a lot more smile squints, I guess.
I thought you were a fan of the squints.
I think I was just joking about the squints. They were epic squints.
Yeah,
they were quality squints.
This one, his pupils are like fully dilated the whole time. Did you notice? Like, because he's tripping balls like a.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's right.
Yeah. And I don't know. I think that they're doing either. I guess they're trying to code it as some sort of drug thing. But like he also says that he lives outside of the dimension stream or something.
There's a lot of tech.
So he's now transdimensional,
right? Because the tardigrade lives outside of dimensions, so he's got the tardigrade DNA. So maybe that's what it is. Something's up with something is up with Stamets. We don't know what the stakes of it are, I guess, but something's going on.
Yeah, something's going on. It doesn't seem to be that bad, but it's something.
Sure.
So, and it's one of the 2 or 3 ongoing mysteries of the show. So, I mean, they're going to pay it off,
right? So
the other episode is where have all of the Klingons that we've been following? Where did they go?
Yeah, that cold open. They made a point of saying that he was going to see the matriarchs. How come we haven't cut to him with the matriarchs?
Yeah, it's been several episodes since last we saw Vok. So
yeah, that's curious.
I don't know. If I had to trade Vok for some of my new friend Ash Tyler, I would definitely. I think it's a fair trade.
He's really good looking.
Yeah,
he's really good. He's really good. Keeps the ship secure.
Yeah, and you know what? Hey man, I support the troops. I'm not an asshole.
Yeah,
I have a thing for soldiers. Maybe
he loves the troops. He loves women raised on Vulcan who mutinied and led to his imprisonment and rape. So yeah, he's a good guy.
Shit, yeah, that's.
What, you're just getting that? You're just getting that here?
Well, yeah, it just dawned on me that maybe you should resent the person that put you through hell, I guess. Oh, no, that's not true. Any normal person would feel like that. But Ash Tyler's such a wonderful Simmon role of a human being that, he's immune to those kind of feelings.
Like, he spent enough time with the Klingons. He knew that war was coming, I guess. Maybe,
sure.
Yeah. And you know what? He lives in the here and now. And so he judges people where they are in the here and now. What they've done in the past doesn't have any bearing on what they do.
Oh, didn't he have that line when he shook her hand last episode?
You're goddamn right. Yeah.
Okay.
I love it when I think that more people, yes, that's true. And more people should be happier when you go into a job interview. You should just ask people what they're doing right now. Don't ask them what they did before because it has no merit on where they are right now.
Right.
That's living like Tyler Ash Tyler. What's his name?
He's the best Pokemon trainer that we have.
Yes.
Anyway, Doc Stamets, Doc Brown's into the situation and says, Michael, we've got...
It's about your parents, Burnham.
Right.
And she goes, what? Did they become assholes or something?
I know that you have a crush on Ash Tyler.
Yeah.
And he's not going for me for some reason, so it's up to you. to send him a slip of paper that says, "Do you like me? Check yes or no," so that you can get the information about his former cellmate, Harry Mudd, because...
Okay, let's stop. Let's stop. Let's talk about this plot point. So, Michael Stamets, or Paul Stamets, or whatever, has to save the ship from Harry Mudd's time loop. Harry Mudd's trying to figure out how the ship works so he can take the ship to the Klingons and sell the ship to the Klingons. And that's all it is. It's a crime.
Right.
He's a thief.
Because of Stella, but not really because of Stella.
You're not terrorists. You're just basic thieves. We're extraordinary thieves. But, okay, so that's what he's... Okay, so let's follow this plot point. Stamets knows that Ash has spent time with Harry Mudd and knows stuff about him. So he goes and says, "Tell me about Harry Mudd." And Ash Tyler, the greatest man on earth, tells him to shut the fuck up and go eat a dick.
Listen, Paul, I don't want to fuck you, so I'm not going to tell you shit.
So Paul Stamets goes through the so much easier and clearer, smarter decision to take Michael Burnham aside and teach her how to seduce a man so that he will tell her about Michael Burnham.
This is all very natural, guys.
Yeah,
that's usually how it goes.
It's like, hey, man, it's nice how seamlessly they worked Michael Burnham's story, her emotional journey, into the plot necessity of this episode. I think it's
pretty. You don't see any cracks in this, do you guys?
No.
So for 10 minutes, it's My Fair Lady.
It is, but
we do get some information about his meet cute with Culber.
And all good episodes of TV should at least, or just art in general, should actually produce or remind the viewer of some real, truth. And his relationships about, don't lie about who you are is pretty sound. Yeah, is pretty sound advice. Unfortunately, he's talking to the wrong person in that potential relationship.
Yes.
Right. Well, and is he possibly lying about who he is if he's a mirror person? I don't know.
You're right. Nobody could be who they say they are. Oh man. Okay, so I got to come down off of the realizing how dumb if you just say the plot of this episode out loud, it's so incredibly dumb. So one of the things. One little tidbit. When she's dancing and he says, "Can I lead?" I'm pretty sure that is a line that Anthony Rapp says in Rent, and so that makes me think that maybe everybody's getting to do a callback of a line that they did in one of their famous things. And so next week, Ash Vok is going to say, "Can you hear me? This is Ash Vok." And Lorca's going to say, "Yes, I can hear you, Ash."
Do you mind telling our audience what that reference is from there?
I guess, was it The Toast of London?
Ash
Vok is a reoccurring character on The Toast of London.
It's a BBC show.
Go look it up.
Yeah.
Matt Bear,
Yes, I can hear you, Clem Fandango.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it.
I like that show. I mean, I like the show too. But
I was going to say, you're supposed to be the one on here that likes this.
I do.
You can't change roles.
I mean, I'm enjoying it. I can find a way to enjoy it, even if it's not exactly everything I want from it.
There was a lot. Yeah, there was a lot here that I thought was positive.
They go into a motif of all the ways that Harry Mudd killed Gabriel Lorca over the time loop.
That was fun.
Which is fabulous.
Yeah, he's like,
that was good stuff.
Frankly, I'm getting tired of killing you. And it's like, it's like, I thought maybe they were going to do a whole thing where he grows to not be a murderous. Because I don't remember Harry Mudd just straight up killing everybody on the original series.
Okay, that was my problem with this, is that they've taken a previously established character and made him extremely murderous and dark.
Right.
And it's dark, and we've got, like, dark mud is what we've got.
Right.
And,
I mean, he was always dangerous, but, like, he'd leave you stranded on a planet. He wouldn't, like, shoot you in the face.
Yeah, over and over.
And he doesn't just do it to Lorca. He does it to just all these scrubs that should be in red shirts. But
this is Frank Miller and Zack Snyder's mud.
Right.
Right.
And that was my problem with it at the beginning. I was like, this is like so crazy violent, and not in a way that's like meaningful in any way. It's just ridiculous.
Right.
And I think that's where the show was going. And at the end of the show, we can talk about that later, about where it ends up tone wise at the very end.
Oh, right.
But I think that's kind of what we're looking at for the entire series. Things start off murderous and dark, and then it goes to a ridiculous 1960s tone at the end, to marry up with TOS.
Yeah, so Burnham gets her first kiss or something. And then all of a sudden, everybody is on, like, there must be more of these tell me the secret so that I learn immediately what's going on stories for different people. Because by the end of it, everybody, because it's a 30-minute loop. So Stamets tells Burnham over and over again, you've never been in love. And she's like, all right, well, that's my big dark secret. I guess I'll do whatever you say now. And then by the end of it, everybody else is also on board.
They have to, like, I guess that they end up cutting the whole thing where everybody has to have the conversation.
Right.
Look, there's a time loop, and I know a bunch of, that you have to sort of play the telephone there. And I guess that's good.
I guess
no one wants to watch that.
You could cut some of it. That's another thing about just the way the show is being done. They said over and over again, they're doing a serialized show. They've said over and over again, we don't have to worry about the run times. But they're sticking to like a tight.
They're tight. Yeah,
you're absolutely right.
They haven't varied the run times at all. They're doing like your 42 minutes with commercials, and they're like, well, we can let the show dictate. Like, you know what? There's a lot of extra information that you could fit in here. Like, what the fuck happened to Admiral Cornwell? How come even Lorca, who is suddenly like, yes, let's give Mudd everything he wants. I guess, well, there's a reveal that they have a secret plan at the end of it, but
yeah.
He's got a time crystal. They do all this like really they do some pretty good techno babble about how he must have gotten time loop technology from a 4D thing, and then they just jump to the dumbest like, oh, it's because it's got it from a fourth dimensional race, blah blah blah. It's a time crystal, which is like the most Final Fantasy like. Just make it a magic crystal. Yeah. He robbed the Betazoid bank, and he told Ash Tyler about how he robbed the Betazoid bank, and that's how they get their information. So
they figure out, I mean, I think that like this is a Star Trek episode.
Yeah.
Like unlike the first 4 episodes of the show, like I think the last couple have been what we would call Star Trek episodes. Like, I think this feels like a Star Trek episode. I think you're getting at something. I was going to say that the militarized tone of the show is one of the things that I've sort of realized is a problem that I have with the show. The second thing is, like, the economy of storytelling is kind of like, it's breaking my brain because it's the average length of a Star Trek episode. But, like, I remember Star Trek episodes have pretty involved plots with a lot of information in them.
Right.
There's extraneous scenes. They have time for Riker to play trombone, like, a lot. Right. And, like, I mean, like, so what are they doing on this show that it seems like everything is so, like, there's no time for this information. Like, they have to cram it in. And I don't. Like, and some of the things that works that they're not doing, they did this episode, they did a Stardate sort of log. That's a way to, like, Captain Kirk we're floating over the planet here so we're mentoring between 2 warring tribes. So we don't have to have that conversation. We know what's going on. In Deep Space Nine or in TNG episodes, they would do like conference scenes where everybody sits down and like boom, 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 boom. Mm-hmm. Like gives a lot of exposition and a lot of like sort of complications. So then Riker can play the trombone. And this, it just seems like, I mean, they're at a party, so I'm not saying that, but like everything seems like there's no time to like, I don't know, like I guess you're watching them chill, but like I would rather, I don't know, everything. It's also they're running. They're also, they're running and talking about burritos, or they're at a beer pong party and Wyclef Jean is playing.
And they all have this,
like they're not like,
they all have those sleeveless shirts, like the shoulderless shirts that all the women wear.
Yeah.
I was like, is that Kira's outfit? The one girl that's making out with she looked like she had Kira's blouse on. That's all.
Oh, were you talking about the girl that got her face blown off in the prologue?
Yeah.
And now she's got I don't know. There's a funny joke there about the shit on her face, but it takes more time than we have on this podcast. I just can't find it.
Well, I think that that's somebody's particular kink.
Sure.
Is that the stuff on her face.
Yeah. Have you ever watched Cronenberg's Crash? It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. It is a kink.
They figure out what the shenanigans that Mud is doing, and he's going to sell. Then Mud kills Ash Tyler
in like a final loop. Like he figures it all out and kills Ash Tyler.
Right. Because he's gotten Stamets, because he's been like trying to just get the information just of like, hey, tell me how to use the spore drive, and then I can get on with this. And that's why he keeps having to do the loop. I thought it was weird that this ship is self-destructing because he can't get the spore drive to work over and over again. But why don't they do the spiral thing that killed the Glen ever? Because that's what happens when you run the spore drive without a tardigrade or Stamets in there. But
yeah, and why did Stamets give it up anyway?
Yeah.
Just let him die in 30 minutes. Who gives a fuck?
Yeah, right. And he's just like, I can't watch any, because he's so beleaguered of, I guess.
But they're not dying. They're looping.
Right.
It's like different. Like, fuck. I don't know.
But if you have to watch your friends die over and over again, I guess it still wears you down a little bit. Like, if that happened to me, I'd come out with some bags under my eyes, I guess. Maybe it could wear me down.
I guess so. But like, he still.
But like, you're right. It's weird. Yeah.
Here's what, like, it's pretty clear. This ship is set up that they have like fucking like nanny Big Brother cams all over the ship. So just have him watch old logs of their jumps.
Right. Yeah.
He's got control of the computer. Just play back old logs of the jump, and then you watch how they set it up, and then he'll see Stamets getting his nipples pierced.
Yeah, right.
And then he'll figure it all out like that. And then you don't need Stamets to do something stupid.
Oh, you're saying he could just go watch surveillance tapes of a normal.
That's what I'm saying.
Of a normal work day.
Yes.
Or they're making like reports too.
Yeah.
The TPS reports probably say we hooked Stamets up to the tardigrade nipple clamps.
Yeah.
But
he has control of the computer. Just say, computer, show me the clip of the last jump you made. Show me the video camera and the engineering of the last jump you made, and it would clearly be like nipples. Like it would show that, and he would know. That's exactly what like anyone would do. That's what like corporate espionage people would do. So
you're right.
This is the thing. This is the thing that I was trying to say. I was trying to say in the last podcast, where the writers are trying to just force the story where they want it to go.
Yeah,
and you had said all writers do that, and I go, yeah. But what they do is that they establish rules of logic. And then you have to make the story go within the rules that you set up.
Right.
And basically the rules it's how does this happen without somebody being fucking stupid?
Right. Well, I mean, Star Trek is
the best way to like do it.
Star Trek has often had where you could nitpick and find these loopholes like that. But I mean, you're right.
Yeah. So you make Stamets do this dumb thing, but
he does
anyway. And so they end up having to that Michael Burnham has to like put him back in the time loop. It's the like we need to go back into time loop.
Right.
Because if they don't, then Ash stays dead.
Right. Michael, we gotta.
They did throw like a little ball. They threw a purple thing at him. It made him disappear.
Well,
or slowly tear apart to shreds.
That is a weapon that Mud found in Lorca's quote unquote man cave. So
yes, he says man cave.
Basically, Lorca is keeping a bunch of dark shit in his office.
Yeah, it's weaponized dark matter, I believe is what he said.
So I wanted him to like as he was ripping to shreds, and she's looking at Ash, I just wanted him to say Tukuvma.
Yeah, right. The thing, did you notice like he's got all these weapons to kill things in inventive ways in his man cave, but all they do is the same thing.
Yes.
They do the same thing that a Klingon disruptor does. I guess the dark matter just hurts more, but they all just, the big fat Hellboy gun that he has, what's this do? Oh, it does the same thing as the other ones. It just has more skull in it.
Exactly.
Hey, it would have been cool to see his eyeballs melt. I mean, if you're going to go full Cronenberg in the first, you might as well.
Or go like Rick and it turns people into weird shit, or like or it ages them, like it's an age. Like, there's all kinds of stuff.
There's a lot of creative ways, but they all just disintegrate people.
Yes,
though I mean they did get creative with killing when they put him out. He teleports him out into space, and
so Michael Burnham gives Mudd another piece and says that she's Michael Burnham, and the Klingons, she killed Takuvma, and the Klingons would love to have her. And
but did they actually give a shit about Takuvma? That's the other thing. I know he's the Klingon Messiah, but is he?
The Klingons make no sense in the show.
I knew that they were using him to an end, and they united to fight the Federation, but I never got what believers the Klingons were, except for House Takuvma.
It's almost like that 2 hours they spent on a prologue without building the characters for the show. Maybe it was misspent. But yeah, no, I agree. I don't know what the fuck. I don't know, guys. There hasn't been a Klingon in this show, and there was half of the prologue was about Klingons.
Yeah.
The main character of that died. We haven't seen a Klingon. Yes, we have. I know. But we haven't seen a Klingon in weeks as a major character.
Yeah.
So who knows what the fuck? Like, that's the thing. Who knows what the fuck they're doing on the show?
Right.
We know what they're doing, but like.
Right. So then they Scooby-Doo Mudd and like, oh, we're going to give you everything you want. They get everybody on board. But then they've done some shenanigans with the unlocked down parts of the ship with like the captain's chair and communications and stuff. So they're going to send Mudd to jail, except they're going to send him to the cruelest jail of all. Like a woman. It's like I just like the ending. I was like, what? He's been killing everybody. And they're like, oh, they're just putting their hands on their hips. Like, well, we're going to give you to... I mean, the reveal that he doesn't actually give a shit about Stella is actually kind of nice because every time we've seen Mudd, he's been talking about Stella as his reason for everything. Uh-huh. But it turns out that that's just, a line.
It's kind of all bullshit.
Yeah.
I don't know. I apparently, okay, this is embarrassing for me. This is embarrassing for me. I've watched the Harry Mudd episodes.
Yeah.
But I also thought that Cyrano Jones was Harry Mudd.
Yeah, I saw somebody correct you on that before I could get to it.
And so I don't know who the fuck Harry Mudd is. So like I don't remember those episodes because I watched them when I was kids and I haven't
he's a robot space pimp. In one episode he's sending old ladies to miners.
So he makes
He's sending legit real people but old ladies with special young people drugs. But he's sending them because they're doing like a 7 Brides for 7 Brothers, but on a mining colony somewhere. It might be the one that
it's like John Scalzi's Old Man's War, but it's like Old Man's Whore. Like it's
but they like if you don't give them their proper medicine, they turn into old ladies.
Oh,
yeah, they look like the hot 60s. Vavavoom Kirk is going to make out with him.
It's like Ponce de Leon's Deuce.
The second Mudd episode is a robot version of Stella. Sorry.
I was just talking about how the ending, all of a sudden you've got this murderous Mudd situation, and then they resolve it with having him get married, calling his father-in-law and his fiance or whatever to come pick him up instead of the Klingons. This guy killed a bunch of people over and over, and even though they lived because of time shenanigans, you would still think they would want him in some sort of federal,
right?
Yeah. That seems a little bit messed up.
Yeah.
But it was supposed to be light and fun, and the lady was dressed in like 60s type clothing, and you could kind of see how they're trying to clumsily try to fit the two pieces together of the grimdark world that they built in the time period of the war to what will eventually become a fun, lighthearted 1960s world where space shenanigans and adventures happen. I really didn't like how it ended. I thought it was tonally weird.
Yeah.
It is.
And unsatisfying of an ending.
Yeah.
Because a lot of it was intriguing. Like, from moment to moment, you're like, where's this going?
Right.
You're intrigued. Mm. And for them to catch them the way they did was...
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it was... I agree. Because it's like, what? Yeah. And then we close with another personal log where she's like, sometimes where you belong was just around the corner the whole time. It's like, oh my God. How saccharine can we get? But
yeah, it was a little corny at the end.
So I know that people don't want to think that Ash is Vok, because obviously we've all talked about it. There's been articles about it, and no one wants to watch a show where the reveal is so obvious. So they're trying to make all of these sort of reasons why that's not the case. But I mean, like Ash is clearly like the most piece of shit character in the world if he's not Vok, right?
I agree.
Yeah, he's completely boring. There's nothing to him. He adds nothing to anything.
But
unless you're just like, oh, well, he's just there to fall in love with Michael Burnham.
Yeah.
Unless they're going to fridge him later. If he's human and they fridge him later, then that I guess that's something.
That's maybe.
But what's more than likely is going to happen is...
Wait, so he's the girl in the diner and Baby Driver and she's Baby Driver?
Right. Yes, she could be Baby Driver. She's got a flawed past, but she takes care of her elderly foster, Sarek. Whatever. It's almost the same thing. So, but
he doesn't communicate well with people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Doesn't like to leave the house.
He's haunted by his parents' death. She's Baby Driver.
She is Baby Driver.
This show has all the same kind of faults, if you will, that movie had, which I enjoyed, but it's not the strongest character movie that by.
Okay, but.
Yeah, but they ain't no good car chases.
No,
fair enough.
Here's my prediction about where the Burnham and Vok stuff is going to go. I think that we've seen Lorca obviously wants Burnham around, and he likes collecting broken people, as we've mentioned before, and she's clearly the most broke of all the broken people, and but she appreciates him taking her in and giving him this chance because sure as hell beats prison. So I think they're going to grow the Lorca-Burnham dynamic to where they grow fonder of each other. That way there'll be some real stakes because I also believe that Lorca suspects from the beginning that Ash Tyler is Vok. I think he put him in charge of his security for a reason, and I would even suspect that maybe Lorca's in charge of his own security and knows exactly what's going on his ship. Mud shenanigans aside.
So then I would ask you, do you think that because you don't want Lorca to be dumb enough to be duped by it too?
Yeah, well, absolutely. But also that they've dropped little clues along the way. I mean, he's always acted suspect about him right from the beginning.
Yeah.
About how could you survive and where are you from once he finally gets him. And then finally puts him in charge of security as a way to lull him into a literal sense of security. Ash Tyler into a literal sense of security. Like by giving the enemy what they want makes them maybe hopefully become complacent enough to, or lulled into complacency. So anyway, I think that Lorca will finally make a move against Ash Tyler. Nobody will believe him or understand why he's making that move against him, and it will strain the relationship between Burnham and Lorca.
Yeah.
But you can't have that strained unless they actually do some work to build between the two.
Maybe.
So I think in the coming next couple episodes we'll see some positive Lorca Burnham stuff.
It's possible that a fan favorite character could die in the next episode, and Lorca and Burnham could bond over that.
Right? Yeah. Because, the next episode...
Sure, absolutely. Well, that could be... Burnham could end up the first officer again.
Right.
Lorca.
Yep.
This episode is an away mission with Saru, Burnham, and Ash.
Going home. And there's two clips that are specifically telling that they're telegraphing that Saru dies.
Right.
One of which is that he goes home. But the first clip is him saying...
We just know it's an away mission.
Yeah.
He talks about where he's from.
No, it's his home.
Well, I thought it was his... He was talking about his people and his planet in the clip. Yeah.
I know I think it was, but he's talking about his past and his people, and it could be his home. I assumed it was, but I
yeah, you've told me like in one of the first podcasts, you said there's an episode where they go home and it's written by what's her face, the book writer, and this episode's written by her,
Kirsten Beyer.
Yeah, Kirsten Beyer wrote this episode.
So I think you're right. I assume from the next on, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, he says in the next on, he's given some sort of speech. I spent every moment of my life in pure terror towards everything. I'm scared of everything. You don't understand the nature of our people, that we're scared all the time. I've been scared every moment of my life. I'm not scared now. That's exactly what a character says
right before they die. Yeah.
Before you fucking off them.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that Lorca says to to the Rumi bridge that he turns around and goes that we have to swallow this and we have to move on. Like something about basically saying that there will be time to grieve later. We have to bottle this up and move on.
Right.
So specifically talking about a death. So
there's two ways they could go with that, or maybe three. One, like what we did in that prediction episode, we called it at the end of the first half of the season, or the penultimate, which this episode is when they kill people, is at the penultimate episodes of all the prestige television. That's when they do that.
Yeah.
So either our prediction is right and they kill Saru, which is what they're kind of leading in with the next one looks like. Or the other option maybe is they kill Ash Tyler and he wasn't a Klingon. Or the third option is he finally gets outed as a Klingon and they cover it up.
If Ash Tyler gets killed next episode, the character of Ash Tyler is the dumbest thing I've ever seen on television ever.
Totally agree. Maybe they learn that he's actually Vok, and that's what they have to learn to get past. That's the other option.
Didn't they spoil the thing that quick?
It would be nice, wouldn't it? Just like shit or get off the pot kind of thing.
No, I think the best way to do it, because like I said last week, and I hold this to be true, I don't think it's great television. But like Michael Burnham falling in love with the enemy is at least something.
Right.
Yeah.
So if they squander that, but what the best thing to do, since we all know that they're doing that, the best thing to do is to go ahead and tell us that he's Vok.
So the bomb under the table, the Hitchcock.
Yes, yeah. So that we're not, so you're not treating us like a fucking moron. Like,
right.
But that's, yeah. There's no, I mean, that guy don't have no character, man. That guy is the Mary Sue. Like, if he's not got like, Vok is a character. It's an interesting, not interesting.
It's a character.
It's interesting enough for this show. It's an interesting enough character for this show. And Ash is not even that. So, like, that's something. And he's just a piece of ass. It is like he is an anime body pillow.
Yeah. At
this point, if he doesn't have some other trait to him.
Well, let's give the show credit. I mean, with faint praise. Hey, it's nice that it's the man that's that role instead of the woman, right?
That's true.
Women have been doing that shit since television, So let's.
Yeah, that's like the way Chris Pine played the girlfriend in Wonder Woman.
Yeah. So
like, that's something. It's not good.
No, but
it's something. I guess if you can't be good, be progressive.
Right.
I guess. But
Star Trek. If you can't be good, be progressive.
Yeah. The other thing is, I think clearly Cornwall's going to die. They show her, so that continues.
Or she gets her mind ripped.
Well, we only assume that she's going to die.
Yeah.
The mind ripper, and she gets turned into Leth, right? Am I right? Fan theory.
It's possible.
Oh my God, that's the most.
Hugh quits the show. Does Hugh quit the show? Then?
I'm telling you, this might be a 2-man operation if that happens.
She's like, I can't remember. We'll call you Leth.
Oh my God.
Are we ready to get into
So
galaxy fight?
We got to wrap this thing up. Yeah. Oh yeah. With the galaxy fight question, yes.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, Hugh, where are you with Galaxy Fight?
If this was a Galaxy...
You're the only real question. Well, maybe Wade, but like...
Well, I mean, if this was a Galaxy Fight episode, I'm like, this was... I'm glad I caught it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because this is self-contained and beginning, middle, and end. I mean, there's so many times in these... I don't think I've ever liked the third act of any Doctor Who episode I've ever seen, and that's basically Galaxy Fight to me, where I don't have an attachment or any personal feeling toward it, but I've watched a good amount of it. And I don't think I've ever liked the third act of any of the Matt Smith Doctor Who's that I've seen.
Gasp.
So yeah, this fits kind of like with that, where I'm in with the premise, and by the third act rolls around, I'm like, all right, I'm about done with this. So yeah,
they botched the premise.
This one, Galaxy Fight. Gets me watching it again next week with this episode. So yes.
Okay, so you liked it more. Wade, you're off.
I'm rolling my eyes pretty heavily at the end of this one.
Yeah.
And this is kind of actually, I mean, I've been saying this show is like not serialized like they talk about it. At season 3 of Battlestar Galactica, they tried to go episodic with it, and it pissed me off because what sold that show was just how well serialized those first 2 seasons are. Those first 2 seasons are amazing.
I need to go back and remember which season did they go to Earth and then like it skipped 3 years.
Oh, maybe that was that's where they got me back on board. Maybe that was season 3.
Yeah, because that was badass. That was badass as a motherfucker.
Midway through season 2, I think they start having these episodic where they just follow like a crime. They do like a procedural on.
Oh, that's when I got off board. That's when I stopped watching.
Yeah, that's exactly. That's possibly if this is.
Yeah, I agree.
Hell, I didn't even know they found Earth until James just said that.
No. Well, they do, but you not watched the last few seasons?
No, I literally stopped watching it when Wade.
Did you not see it? Did you see it when they land on a planet that's good enough?
Yes, I did see some of that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's when it.
And then it skips 3 years ahead.
Yeah.
And everybody's all fucked up. And
yeah, what's his name? The XO has an eye patch and shit.
And Julian Bashir is Julian Bashir is the president.
Right, not Julian Bashir is the president.
And they all hate him, and they're running these. It's like Trump, and he's like running all these resistance. It is like Trump.
Yeah.
It's like Trump.
Oop.
And then the XO that you've hated all along is now fucking
right.
Che Guevara with an eye patch.
Anyways, that was great.
That shit was great.
Before that, it kind of got me. I was pissed at it because they stopped. That's when they picked up that serialized bent again, and they went episodic with it. Though the serialized nature of this show has never been anywhere near as good as Battlestar was, because they've been trying to half-ass it. So maybe I'm still on board. I don't know with Galaxy Fight. Because this one was. I would be on board because this one felt very different than the last one. So I'd want to see what the next one was like. So yeah, I'm still on board.
Well, speaking of serialization, the other question I asked last week is Orville versus Star Trek Discovery.
I haven't watched the most recent Orville, so I can't say. It's been 2 weeks since I watched that show.
It's kind of a mixed bag, or what do you think?
Yeah, no, you have me.
Well, that's for another podcast.
No,
right?
I saw the latest episode of the Orville, and there were things about it that I did not care for, but I thought it was, I don't know, it was as entertaining as this. They tie this week. I think it's a tie. They were both mixed bags. The latest episode of the Orville was clearly Seth MacFarlane. Written from the perspective, I've told this James in a text, of a famous person with a persecution complex. And if that person writes sci-fi from that angle, it can get a little bit pedantic.
Yeah, it's also a story that's been told before on both Community and in a very famous episode of Black Mirror. Oh, okay. So its originality is minimal.
Sure.
Okay. That's
But they have reached the point where I like the cast so much.
I'm happy to see my friends on screen whenever.
That's what I feel like.
Okay, I get that.
I like these guys, and I don't these guys on Discovery. So that's where I'm at there. Wade's obviously the same, or I don't know. Do you balance it without having seen the new episode, or
no? I'm not going to make that.
Okay. Well, we have an upcoming thing. I don't know when it'll hit, but we have a sort of a.
Oh. Right.
I got to be the mediator of a fight between you two guys.
Right.
I'm all about me taking it. Wouldn't you know that the Orville would lay a bomb the week after I scream at Wade about how good it is for 20 minutes?
I hold it's not a bomb. It's just not.
Well, it's not. It's not. Well, it was actually a fair episode. It was fair. It was fine.
It's like, the Orville's not original. Oh shit.
All right. Well,
I'm sorry.
I was never trying to make the case that it was original, though.
Yeah, that's why I was like, never mind. This is the wrong place for that.
All right, but even in the right place, I was never trying to make the case that it was original.
Right. Well, that's what.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Again, I'm not what I'm here to talk about.
Orville fight round 2.
All right. Well, should we try to wrap this bitch up for this? Or we're going to time loop ourselves?
Yeah.
So we talked about next week. It's the Saru episode. And then after that is we're pretty certain the title of this coming episode is See Do we know what it means?
I looked it up once, but I forgot.
It is Latin translated to, if you want peace, prepare for war.
Oh, right.
All right.
Love this show, man.
Well, should we wrap it up with the outro or what?
Yeah. So if you want to know about me and Hugh yelling at each other about the Orville, check out our Patreon at patreon.com/kickersofelves.
Is that up already?
No, not yet, but it will be soon. And there's a lot of other stuff you can listen to there. And you can join the Discord server that we have there. A lot of conversations there. And
a lot of good conversations, yeah.
Yeah. Our lifestyle link review, or, lots of stuff on the Patreon. Give us a call. We'll probably do another voicemail episode later in this week where you can let us know what you think about Discovery at 917-408-3898 or shoot us an email.
Especially Lane. I want to know back if you call back because you were heated with us, and I want to know if you slowed your roll a little bit on the show because I want to know where you're at on that, Lane.
All right. Well, thanks again for
listening.
Final
loop closing out.
Yes, the final loop.
We've recorded this twice, guys.
It blew up after the first 45 minutes, and we had to start over.
Yes.
All right. Well, thanks again for listening to A Discovery Home Companion. We hope that you join us next week after next week's new episode. For Wade, James, and myself, Hugh, 3 to beam out.
Subscribe to us on iTunes or Stitcher or Caster or Fuckcast or Podsucker. Review us on iTunes. Also grab a bit of fame for yourself by calling us at 917-408-3898 and leaving us a message. We play that shit on air. Or email us at rulesofacquisitionpodcast@gmail.com. Also, listen to our Deep Space Nine podcast, Rules of Acquisition. It is pretty amazing, but you may not yet be ready for its awesome amazingness. Assess your personal awesomeness appropriately.